Norman Gary Finkelstein was born in 1953 and is an American political scientist, activist, professor, and author. His primary field of research has been the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. As the son of Holocaust survivors, Norman's mother grew up in Warsaw and survived the Warsaw Ghetto, while his father was a survivor of both the Warsaw Ghetto and Auschwitz. After the war, his parents met in a displaced persons camp in Linz, Austria, and immigrated to the United States. Finkelstein initially rose to prominence in academic circles in 1984 for exposing the book From Time Immemorial by journalist Joanne Peters. The book claimed that Palestinians didn't exist, that they lacked deep roots in historical Palestine, and in fact were Arabs who swarmed the desert land only once Zionists began developing it in the late 19th century. However, Norman Finkelstein's pro-Palestinian activism and academic work has also cost him greatly on a personal level. In 2008, he was denied entry into Israel and banned from entering the country for 10 years. This is of course just the tip of the iceberg. In 2007, after a highly publicized feud with Alan Dershowitz, an academic opponent but also famous American lawyer, his list of clients include Donald Trump, O.J. Simpson, Harvey Weinstein, and also Julian Assange for a brief period of time. Finkelstein's public feud with him led to Finkelstein being denied tenure at DePaul University. Finkelstein subsequently resigned in September 2007 after having been put on administrative leave for the rest of the academic year. He has struggled ever since to find teaching jobs at American universities despite his highly distinguished academic work and achievements. So this was just like a quick biography, but if you want to know more about him, about his personal life, there's this really good documentary about him called American Radical.
I don't like to play before an audience the Holocaust card. But since now I feel compelled to. My late father was in Auschwitz. My late mother, please shut up. My late father was in Auschwitz. My late mother was in Majdanek concentration camp. Every single member of my family on my father's side,
the Jews did not take arms against the
my
Germans.
late father was in Auschwitz concentration camp. My late mother was in Majdanek concentration camp. Every single member of my family on both sides was exterminated. Both of my parents were in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. And it's precisely and exactly because of the lessons my parents taught me and my two siblings that I will not be silent when Israel commits its crimes against the Palestinians. And I consider nothing more despicable than to use their suffering and their martyrdom to try to justify the torture, the brutalization, the demolition of homes that Israel daily commits against the Palestinians. So I refuse any longer to be intimidated or browbeaten by the tears. If you had any heart in you, you would be crying for the Palestinians, not for what's being done.
It's extremely entertaining, fun, sad, everything that you really want in a documentary. But Sam, so before we get into some of those more controversial issues that we want to discuss, is there anything on a personal level you want to say about Finkelstein or just add to what I said?
Nothing really substantial, really, but I always, to be honest, he's one of the people I admire a lot, and there is somebody who probably had major disagreements with Finkelstein about a lot of issues, Christopher Hitchens, that in my view they shared a similar style of rhetoric, so to speak. Like they were very forceful yet very methodological, the way they talk, the way he talks in debates and analysis. It's very, in a way, it's very aggressive, but yet at the same time, it's extremely academic. And I love it. I don't know why, but I find it very interesting. It's something that I try to copy all the time as well, by the way. But yeah, I love that he was extreme, like, you know, they everybody talk about like intellectual honesty and bravery. He is crazy, like straight. He's just to the point. I love that. Um, there is another writer, Perry Anderson. If he was, at least until last year, the editor of the New Left Review in U.S. and he writes like Norman Finkelstein talks. To be honest, very forceful, very to the point, and basically taking no prisoners. Just going at it. It's crazy. I love his style. He's very economical. There is no fat to his speeches, to his talks. It's just about the issue. I love that. And yeah, he's just one of the people I admire a lot. I think a couple of months ago uh, we mentioned him in a story or something, and then it just, because we were both such big fans, we decided that it's probably a good idea to do a video about him. And yeah, on a personal level, I find it he's a fascinating figure, fascinating person.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I love the way he talks. And so you can find in the description box a bunch of links to the documentary that I mentioned, but also interviews, recent ones of him. And just the way he speaks, it is kind of mesmerizing. I don't know, it just has this really good tone, like you were saying. But okay,
He's monotonous, but
yeah,
it's very strangely like, yeah, it's a very strange. He's got a weird voice as well, I guess.
We have to bear in mind, it wasn't just Trump. Sometimes the media wants to pile up on Trump, and they forget it's not just Trump. Charles Schumer, the current Senate Minority Leader, Schumer was constantly attacking Trump right after he got elected. Why aren't you recognizing Jerusalem as the undivided capital?
It's a unique
100%. Yeah, no,
yeah, hope
100%.
one day we talk to him directly. But yeah, he's very cool, very cool.